What's up, guys? It's been quite a while since I made some reviews, but I'm here to do a ton of reviews, and my first one is going to be Fantastic Four. Now, Fantastic Four, we got a whole new cast. We're trying this again. Marvel's first family. Man, Fantastic Four is one of those things where, like, before the MCU, like, if you were talking about Marvel, you were talking about Wolverine, you were talking about Spider-Man, you're talking about Hulk, and you're talking about the Fantastic Four, and a couple more X-Men. But pretty much those were the characters that most people knew from Marvel. Other than that, most people didn't know. And Blade, I can't leave out Blade. But other than that, before the MCU came around, no one knew any of the other fuckers. And here we are. It's been 16 years since the MCU, 17 years since the MCU started. We're finally getting a Fantastic Four movie, and we finally have a good live-action Fantastic Four movie. Now, those early 2000s and late 2000s movies with Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, those movies, before this movie came out, there are a lot of people being very nostalgic for those movies, but they're only posting certain clips, because if you watch those movies, you would know those movies weren't that good. They were better than some of the stuff we were getting at that time for comic book movies, but overall, they weren't that good of movies, you know? And the way that the characterization of the characters weren't that great either. Something that is being praised a lot in this movie is that Johnny is not just the typical, everyone's got the hots for him, playboy, pretty boy. He's smart. Johnny's smart too. Now, I'm not the biggest Fantastic Four comic connoisseur. I'm not going to pretend I am. But I will say that those earlier movies didn't do a great job of giving everybody their props for how smart they are. They didn't all go up to space, and they didn't all get in that situation because they were friends with Reed and Sue. They were smart of their own accord. You know what I mean? Even Ben, smart of his own accord. And now that the movies, now that we're kind of like, now that this is out and people can see that these people are all smart of their own accord, things can be a bit different. But I don't know. We're going to see how they get characterized in their next movie. Galactus was good in this movie. The female Silver Surfer, Shia LaBeouf, she was really good in this movie. Everyone did their thing. Everyone was good. And yeah. We'll see what happens in the next couple movies. It's been like a month since I've seen this movie, so that's why I'm going kind of quick. But I got a feeling Johnny's going to get fucked up in those Avengers movies, the way Guardians got fucked up in the Infinity War and the Endgame, and James going to have to kind of like retcon and just throw that shit away to the Russo's road. And I feel like we're going to have the same thing going on with the Fantastic Four. They're going to write some shit, and then they're just going to have to throw it away, and then we're going to have to, and then it's going to have to like do it all over again. But we'll see. You know, we'll see. That's usually how it goes. Like, they're gonna do this team up movie, they're gonna write some bullshit, and after they're done writing the bullshit, they're gonna have to like go back and they're gonna have to fix it again. But we'll see how it goes. I really like Pedro Pascal as Reed. I really think he's a good Reed, you know? Like, if it was up to me, I feel what they're going for. I thought they were going to go very young and they're just going to throw him in the MCU. And I feel like a lot of the fan cast were based on the idea that they were just going to get, I don't know, they were just going to show up. And that never really made sense. And the only reason they're really doing them now is because they kind of have to fucking do them now, because they threw away the King stuff. They're just like, I feel like the castings were a very big part of what they're trying to do now. You know what I mean? Like, they threw away everything they were going to do. We thought we were going to keep going with Kang Dynasty, then we were going to meet Victor Van Doom. Now we know that Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom's not even going to be the main Doom. So what does that have to do with anything? You know what I mean? So now they got to make a whole new Doom. After the movie, we're going to have to get a whole new Doom. So they've got Pedro over here, and we don't even know who the actual Doom's gonna be. So it's like, is Pedro Pascal's Reed? Reed is the biggest casting that you need to make. You got to get Reed right. I know people might argue, oh, you got to get Sue right because Sue's this, and this. It's got to be Reed. Reed's the most important one. People would have been happy with any blonde you put out there. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you could have put out any blonde out there. People would have been. You could have put a fucking brunette out there. and fucking and made her and it's made her wear a wig, people would have been okay with it. No one would have tripped. But Reed is so important. You couldn't have put like you couldn't have had someone like this is a crazy one to say. You couldn't have someone like Charlie Hunnam play Reed Richards. It wouldn't have worked. You couldn't have had someone like there's a certain type of actor you're looking for, and I feel like people would say I would have rather had Charlie Hunnam as Reed than Reed Richards, but for the Reed Richards they were going for, I really felt like Reed. I really feel like Pedro, like a Reed who is very you can when Pedro was acting when he was playing that role and he was acting so standoffish to them, so this unhuman, more robotic. You really bought that part of Reed, and I really see what they were going for. Another character that I really like, Mole Man, Paul Weisner. He was in that Apple TV show Blackbird. I didn't watch, but I heard he was really good in it, and I'm pretty sure he won an Academy. I'm pretty sure he won an Emmy for that. So, props to him. I hope I'm getting that right. I'm pretty sure he won an Emmy for that. So, yeah, I really like the cast all around, and yeah. I'm really excited to see what they do with the Fantastic Four once they get into MCU, but I am fully prepared that what we see in this movie is not going to carry on into the next couple movies in Secret Wars, Dynasty, all that. Whatever they're calling the bullshit. I'm prepared that they're not Doomsday and Secret Wars. I'm prepared for this characterization to not carry over. So overall, I'll give Fantastic Four a 7.5 out of 10. Like I said, Fantastic Four, I said this in my Superman review, they both suffer from the same problem of they probably could have been a little bit longer so we can get a little bit more plot points out. They really threw that plot point of, yeah, he wants our baby, and if we give him the baby, he'll leave us to Rome. They're really man, that is a big thing. And I understand that they were the only superheroes on the planet. There should have been a couple scenes of people trying to take that fucking baby. At least try. If you tell a group of people, hey, that fucking kid is what stands between billions of people living, there's got to be some type of resistance. Even when people feel like they can't win, they're still going to resist. So I would have at least wrote 1 or 2 scenes of people trying to take the baby, not just complaining, not just riding. And to be honest, I wasn't a fan of Sue's big little speech, because at the end of the day, say all you want, that kid is stopping us from. If they had wrote the scenes of them fighting back and then she said that, then I think it would have been stronger. So that's why I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. Peace.